This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey guys, this is the Werewolf in Tights, Axel Lennox, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee for the last 5 years. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it is a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the Werewolf in Tights, Axel Lennox.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. How is the Werewolf, and where will we see him next?
You'll see me next, January 6th, at Excite Wrestling in the Arnett Mall.
Alright. And where can we find you on social media and your network?
Under my actual name, Vince Talbot on Facebook, and Vince Talbot on Instagram, which I should really pay more attention to because I update terribly, and Marie is 1,000 times better at updating Instagram than I am.
I believe your last post on Instagram was from August.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm surprised it's at least from August.
Alright. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Alright. Let's get into it. You work for Immortal Championship Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
I started there probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I developed a really good friendship with Mike. And outside of wrestling, we just became buddies. We're into a lot of the same things. Both of us have a very big love for cannabis. And we became mutual buddies over conversations of that. And then we just ended up having a friendship. And then I ended up tagging with Danny Adam and Matic after a couple years of kind of not really having a storyline. And then for probably about a year to 2 years straight, we did Matic Do Karate. And the storyline with that was I would bring in challenges of yesteryear. I think we had Hornswoggle, Gangrel, Glacier, Fandango, and Just Incredible were our challenges against. I would bring in the challenge, and Danny and Matic would try to beat me and the So On challenge from yesteryear. But Danny would always only get this close for his chance for the 24/7 title. And then it was a fun storyline, and it kind of just, I really wouldn't say fizzed out, but people ended up with different gimmicks and different schedules, and it just couldn't catch lightning in a bottle all the time, I guess you could say.
Right. But, I mean, an impressive list of names.
Yeah.
And let's start from the top. Gangrel. You tagged with him and you wrestled against him. What was that experience like?
A good handful of times now, yeah. And that was kind of a dream come true one because growing up, I mean, if you can see the video there, well, he's kind of cut off. My favorite was The Undertaker growing up, and then behind that was Austin and Macho and Hogan, etc. But I liked the darker characters growing up, and Gangrel being one of them. So the first time that I ever got to wrestle him, it was kind of a surreal moment. And then every locker room that I ran into since then, he made a point to say hi and remember who I was, and was just very polite and very down to earth. And then just ended up, luck of the draw, tagging with him a few more times or working against him a few more times. And my favorite one would probably be when it was me and Gangrel versus Sean Carr and Tyler Reed with Marie managing us, just because it was home at Excite. She was involved, Sean was involved, Tyler was involved. It was just a real fun, good match. And having all three of them involved, who I care for dearly, it just made it that much better.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it does, it is, perfect gimmicks coming together. He's a vampire, you're a werewolf.
Yeah. As everyone says, that our love story is definitely better than Twilight's.
Oh, Twilight fan?
Absolutely not.
Well, another name you mentioned, an incredible name, just incredible. Obviously, ECW alumni. What was that experience like teaming up with him?
That wasn't my first time encountering him either. I've actually wrestled him probably 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And tagged with him once or twice as well. So he recognized me when we worked together at Immortal. And Justin's always been very nice to me, and I've never really had a bad thing to say about him. I know other people have their issues, but he's always been cool with me.
Alright. Now, just looking at your gear and looking at your boots, seeing the flames with the gold coloring kind of reminded me of Eddie Guerrero. Was that?
Oh, my old white boots. Is that the ones you're talking about?
You have a pair that's gold and a pair that's white.
They're not gold. I have a pair of white boots with black and red flames, and then my current ones, I have the black ones with the red lightning bolts on them.
Oh, okay. Well,
The white ones might look gold because they're a little faded.
That must have been the reasoning, but they look.
Yeah, I know what Eddie Guerrero ones you're talking about. Honestly, my idea for the white ones, those were my first real pair of boots. My first pair I ordered off of Pro Wrestling Boots, and they were just solid black costume bullshit boots. But that white and black red flamed ones, that was like my first real purchase of like real solid wrestling boots. My idea behind it was honestly just an entire WCW feel itself. So you're not wrong by saying that Eddie was part of the inspiration for that.
And I mean, we're in 2024, independent wrestling. One thing that I always feel when it comes to pro wrestlers is pro wrestlers should have pro wrestling boots. No.
That was one of the old school things that was instilled in me that I still firmly hold on to. Like, there's some old school stuff that's kind of gone out the window that kind of should have, like a little bit of the hazing and the ribbing has kind of gone away. I can't say the ribbing's totally gone away. It's toned down. The ribs aren't as extreme anymore.
Right.
But I will say that in terms of old school teaching, having a nice solid pair of boots and real pro gear is something I'll tell anyone that I train till the end of time.
Now, you actually did one shot for Impact Wrestling against Sky Wagner. Can you tell us about that experience and how that came about?
He is one of the best I've ever been in the ring with. The guy's just a mastermind, and he's a ring general. So I knew I was in good hands going into that. I can't lie, I was nervous as hell. just because I knew that it wasn't just an Excite show. It was freaking Impact Wrestling, and it was pay-per-view. And it wasn't like, hey, we'll have this guy on TV and then see what he does on pay-per-view. They just, nope, we're booking a couple of you guys for a pay-per-view and bang, we're doing it. It was a good match. I was in a lot better shape there than I am now, and I'm working to get back to that. But yeah, wrestling him is like playing chess. There's nothing but logical. How can I word this? There's nothing but sensible wrestling and logical storytelling going on with him. Like, you'll never get anything less than that. He's just a tremendous performer, and he's a tremendous opponent to work with.
Is there any?
And working for that Impact is definitely a badge that I hold high.
Was anybody coming up to you after the match from Impact, giving you advice or something?
Not really. It was more like I wouldn't say they were kind of like shooing us aside when we got to the back, but it was more or less like good job, guys. Cool, good enough. Next. Like Slick gave me his own criticism, which was well enough. And like, if someone like Slick Wagner Brown takes the time to sit down and give you tips and advice, you eyes open, ears open, mouth shut.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, being you mentioned, it's a badge of honor, being in doing that show for Impact. Being in the ring, in a moment like that. Is that a moment you take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did that?
Kind of both. You go into it knowing how big it is, and then afterwards you realize actually how big it was.
Okay. Well, was it a big moment when you wrestled Tommy Dreamer? I mean, the match I'm referring to.
Yep. Was that the one with? Well, actually, twice. Was that the one with Foley as the ref?
Yes.
Yeah. Breaking kayfabe here. I mean, I've been doing it the whole episode already. When we were setting up the match backstage, it was set up to where Rob was going to take Socko, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, God damn it, I want it to be me. And we get out there, and the match goes well. And actually, I accidentally annoyed Mick Foley that night. I kept going down for pinfalls frequently, which means he had to go down and keep getting back up.
Okay.
And that was a lesson that I had to learn when you have a veteran like that as a special ref, to make the pinfalls less frequent. Right. So he doesn't have to get down and get back up. But back to the Socko part. So at the end of the match, Rob goes to hit Mick, and he blocks the punch, gives him the bit, and Rob sells up, takes Socko. Well, when he powdered out, I started jaw-jacking to Mick Foley through the ropes, and he came over, and I didn't even see it coming, and he came over and give me one for my troubles, standing right there. And in the moment, as I'm trying to sell, my brain's doing one of two things, going, oh my God, I got to sell that I'm choking to death right now. And oh my God, Mick Foley's giving me the mandible claw right now. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, Mick Foley is giving me Socko right now. So that was just crazy and awesome, and I'll never, ever, ever forget that. And I smile every time I think about it.
I mean, yeah, it sounds weird, but getting Sockoed by Mick Foley is like a huge honor.
It is. Only in wrestling, where taking a sock in the mouth doesn't mean good job, kid.
Exactly. another name, well-respected name that you were in the ring with. Personal favorite of mine, Brutal Bob Evans.
Yeah,
Can you
that was
tell
a
us?
fun match.
Can you tell us about that experience with Uncle Bob?
Yeah, that was when me, Rob, then he was Stockade, our mouthpiece Cheyenne, and HC Loke were doing the Dying Breed gimmick. And that was a fun little stable for a while. It didn't last too long, but that was a really fun stable. It was a good heel stable. It made sense because we were all beer drinking shit kickers. Rob and Cade don't drink anymore, and good for them. But Russ, it was me and Rob were defending the Excite tag titles against Tough Tim and Brutal Bob. And that match was just about as old school as it gets. I mean, as you can picture wrestling Tough Tim and Brutal Bob, it's just old school catch as catch can brawler 1988 WWF style, pro wrestling style match. And that's the style that I thrive in. That's the style that I got good at. So I melded with them naturally. I melded with both of them naturally.
That's awesome.
And it was just, wrestling someone like him who's kind of just got his pulse on wrestling, period, and just the fountain of knowledge that he is, that was a privilege. And it was just a good time. Wrestling them was a good fight and a good time.
Now, one name, a polarizing figure in the wrestling world, to say the least. You wrestled DJ Hyde. What was that like?
Old Deej. I've wrestled Deej a lot. The hopes was the son of a bitch was going to book me for CZW, and, well, he didn't. It's okay, though. I learned a lot with Deej. Like, I wasn't new to wrestling, but I was still green. I was probably, when was I wrestling him? 2011 and 12. So I started in 2009. So yeah, I was about 5 or 6. I was about 5 or 6 years in. 5 or 6 years in. I learned. I learned what it was like to work with someone not close to home. Finally working with someone that had different levels of experience when I was only that little bit in. That's the kind of stuff that I learned from DJ, was that there's different styles and there was a different way to do things. And then we finally had our blow-off match when I beat him in the bull rope match, and I bled like a stuck pig all over the American Legion. That was a fun match, though. I was absolutely drenched, covered in blood, covered. I still have that shirt somewhere, too.
Oh, wow.
The pizza pallet the pizza pallet flipper that he broke over my back, I actually held on to forever. I was working at a pizzeria at the time, and I took it from the restaurant because we needed weapons. So I was in the restaurant, and I was like, you know what? We don't use this one. And my boss wasn't looking, and I yanked. I took the goddamn pizza pallet with me.
And then the next day, he was like, hey, what is that thing?
Yeah. All over the American Legion floor.
And you said getting hopes to getting booked in CCW. At least you're in good company, because half the people I've interviewed were like, hey, I wish DJ booked me.
Right.
I mean, it seemed like you said, you had a proper rivalry that had a blow off to it with essentially a legend. It wasn't just a one off like some of the other names that you competed against.
Right.
Okay. Now, I think it's time. One name that really stuck out to me that you wrestled was Jack Swagger. Which is kind of odd because I remember him being on the Independents after he got released.
Yeah, it was real quick. That match was actually an accident too. That day was the first day that I was supposed to wrestle Gangrel at the Nice Lake Stadium, and he missed his flight. So something happened with his flight. I don't want to say that he just like he was incompetent or something. He's very, as you follow his Facebook, he's very on point with everything he does. So something happened with his flight. So that day, Moose was like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to jump in the tag match with Team Whipwreck, or do you want to jump in Sean and Swagger's match?" And I looked at him and I was like, I'm going to pick jumping in Sean and Swagger's match, right? So, yeah, that's how that happened. Sean actually messed his ankle up that day, too. When we were doing ring crew, Sean slid off the apron and rolled his ankle pretty bad and, like, pretty much sprained it that day, and he hit it very well.
Seems like it was just good timing in a way.
Yeah.
Alright. I think it's time once again for that segment, Axel's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Let's do one that's halfway appropriate. So mine and Sean's favorite is when we were at Lancaster Championship Wrestling. We wrestled a weekend there, and they had Micro Championship Wrestling on Friday, and then it was the regular LCW show on Saturday. But Friday had the conjoint Micro Championship Wrestling LCW show, and then Saturday again was the full LCW show. Well, at this host, it's like a host resort. It's like a golf course and some like resort where they had the show. The rest of the hotel, there was a Santa convention going on. So after the show, the entire lobby and hotel was drunk midgets and drunk Santas everywhere. That's not even the best part. So me and Sean get back to the hotel room, and I should have took Steve Carino's advice where he says always use the bathroom in the lobby and not the room. So I ended up clogging the toilet in our room, mine and Sean's room, in the middle of the night. Well, when Sean got up to go to the bathroom, he didn't realize that the toilet was clogged. So he's like, God damn it. So he gets room service to come up, and he's asking for a plunger. Well, the gentleman that came up only spoke Spanish.
Oh.
So Sean's trying to ask him for a plunger, and like Sean's like making hand motions and just going about it. Meanwhile, I'm acting like I'm sleeping, and you can see me kind of giggling on bed. And the best part about it is Sean finally goes, El Plungero, and the guy completely dropped his accent, and he went, "Oh, all you had to say was a plunger." Me and him have tons. We'll have to do this one more time where you have both of us together on.
Okay.
And I'll tell you more then. The only other really good one there, quick that I could say was we both had to go to the bathroom, and we get to this McDonald's. We're on our way to pick up Shane Strickland for LCW, and Sean purposely parked far away with his car door closer to the McDonald's in Lancaster that we were going to, right outside of Lancaster or whatever. And he ends up getting in the bathroom. I realize there's someone in the stall, so Sean's in the urinal. So my jerk ass just decided to use the sink, and I took a leak in the sink, and we were hoping to be done by the time the guy came out of the stall. And the guy came out of the stall, looked at Sean, made eye contact with Sean, made eye contact with me, and then just left. So there's two bathroom humor stories.
And two good stories they were.
Yeah.
And penciling in Sean in a little bit. Alright. Another, obviously big name that you've been in the ring with is Scott Steiner. What was that moment like?
That day was so interesting. So we get there, I get to the Legion, and Steiner shows up shortly after. I'm hitting bricks all day. Just nervous, shitting bricks all day. I shake my hand. I'm like, "Hi, sir. I'm the one you're working tonight. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Nice to meet you. Nice to know that I'm wrestling someone high level," whatever that meant. So we get upstairs, and the first thing he says to me is, "Are all your fucking cops here in Binghamton fucking assholes?" And I was like, sure, yeah, why? And I just answered whatever, and he's like, "Got a fucking speeding ticket coming down Main Street. It looked like it said 55. They clocked me going 75. Bullshit if I was going 75. Like, so apparently he got a speeding ticket coming into our show, and he just, his promo was all about the Binghamton Police Department, how much Binghamton sucks. He called my friend's girlfriend a dog. He went off in typical Scott Steiner fashion, which is what we wanted. The match was fine. I mean, I just ping-ponged for him and bumped around for him. I didn't expect him to bump as much for me as he did, but it was an experience that I won't forget, and getting put in a Steiner recliner is something that I did not have on my bucket list at the time, and, well, I guess you could say bucket list checked off.
Oh, yeah.
But I asked him about the math promo, too. I said, how did you do that? And he said that he just kind of winged it and put it together in his head. And then when he got done, they told him that his math was correct.
Well, I was going to, when you were done with that story, I was going to say, was it a 50-50, was it a 50-50
Yeah. 50-50 chance at best. That beat me.
But he's not normal.
Yeah.
So you had a 33.5% chance of winning.
Yeah. Well, you see, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice.
Alright. Now, can you tell us the advantages and the disadvantages of being in the same profession as your significant other?
Disadvantages, I guess a big one would just be like we would like to see each other's matches more, and if we're both on the same show, it makes that difficult because we're usually getting together with people that we've got to do our matches with, and promos and pictures and stuff like that. We just don't really get time to watch the match live as much as going back to the recording to watch it. We have a little bit of difference of opinion when it comes to certain ways of training, but like nothing serious. Like she might call something different that I was told this was called a certain way, and nothing crazy. Like we would just call a different move a different name, but it wouldn't really matter because at the end of the day, the teaching's the same. But like I said, the main disadvantage is just not getting able to share the moment with each other as much as you want to, or turn around and see them cheering for you because either me or her are at another show, or we're at the same show doing two different things.
Right.
That would be probably the main disadvantages. Advantages, I could say goofy ass wrestling terms that I would never expect, anyone in my circle of friends to understand that aren't in the business, and she picks right up on it. We have similar taste in favorites. She likes going back and learning historical stuff, as I do too. So we'll show each other different stuff from our childhood that we liked or may have missed. That's when it gets cool. It's like when you're like, oh, do you remember this? Oh, I remember this. Do you remember this? And we can bond over stuff like that. She's a big HBK fan. I'm a big Undertaker fan. So we always joke about that feud. But it's honestly, it's nice at the end of the day, if you have a struggle or a frustration, we get each other when it comes to the struggles and frustration of wrestling. Like, it's not just, I'm venting to my partner. I'm venting to my partner that also 100% is digesting and understanding what me or her would be going through that we're explaining to each other. Right. So in that aspect, it's very good to be there for each other, and it's good that we understand the level of severity or the level of the situation that me or her may be in, and the other one can understand what's going on.
Well, it's great that she understands your love of pro wrestling. Obviously, she has a love as well.
I would say at times her heart's bigger than mine in it. I mean, her eyes glow like Pixar level cartoon eyes. Just when she gets all like giddy about it, they're just glowing and starry, and I love the look she gets.
But does she understand your love of the Munsters?
Of the Munsters?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Big time. She, when we met Butch Patrick that day at the Twin Cities Comic-Con last year, she knew I wasn't leaving without getting a picture with him. That just was not happening. I would prefer a picture with Fred Gwynn or Alistair Lewis, Grandpa, but I think his first name's Alistair. But I would prefer a picture with Grandpa Munster or Herman. Hey, still getting Eddie and him being a werewolf, that was cool too.
Hell yeah.
And he spoke about how much fun Fred Gwynn was to actually work with, which I thought was awesome because I've always loved any movie Fred Gwynn's in, especially Pet Sematary.
I mean, that being said, can you tell us about your full love of the Munsters?
It kind of comes from my dad. I grew up watching it with him, and he's a big old school horror fan. And I mean, the Munsters go right in line with that old school horror.
Right.
I grew up loving Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi. I absolutely love Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, Nathaniel Hawthorne, of the like, stuff like that. And then later on, Barbara Steele and stuff like that. A lot of it comes from my dad. And then my love for horror just kind of kept blossoming and growing and blooming from there. But it pretty much all started with the Munsters and the Addams Family. And the funny thing is, with the Addams Family, on my dad's side, my great-grandmother's maiden name was Adams. So when we watched the Addams Family, and my dad always said, "Hey, they're your cousins." And I'd be like, "Wait, what?" And then, obviously I didn't believe him after a while, but when I was younger, for quite a little bit, I believed I actually had a cousin It. And then I've got Uncle Fester tattooed on my right leg, too.
I think we all have a cousin It in our families.
My family would tell you that I'm the cousin It. I'm freaking furry enough, so I'll take it.
I mean, but that's pretty incredible. I mean, your shoot last name, the Adams, like, you have, it kind of seems like woven into the
That's actually that's where I got the idea to do the werewolf thing from. Was, well, one, I got sick of shaving. But I'll shave for like bigger matches, like if I know that it'll look better for the setting. But most of the time, I'm not taking my body hair off. It's just too much. But with my last name being Talbot, Lon Chaney Jr.'s character and the Wolfman, his name is Lawrence Talbot. So my dad always told me that was my great uncle, and I'd be like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "Yeah, it is." And then when I became a teenager, he would further bust my ass because that's when my body hair exploded everywhere. And he's like, "See, I told you." And then we both started laughing about it. But Werewolf in Tights comes from the movie An American Werewolf in London. I just shortened it down to An American Werewolf in Tights, but just Werewolf in Tights. And the werewolf just comes from my last name and my body hair.
That being said, what is the Werewolf in Tights favorite werewolf?
Lon Chaney's I liked, but he was how he was always portrayed. He was just always so sad and miserable and just like trying not to hurt anyone. And then the second he would accidentally change over, there he mauled someone by accident, and then he had to run and hide. And I do like that one, but I'm gonna butcher the name of it. But there was this TV show back in the day, Big Wolf on Campus. I'd have to say either him or Michael J. Either him or Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah. Right. Now, that convention that you were at, you also got into the DeLorean, no?
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. That was the year they had this big ass replica of Optimus Prime, and the guy that was voicing it was driving me nuts because I was like, I can totally do Peter's voice better than this guy can. And the whole day, Maria's like, "Go up to him, show him," and I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna." But the whole day, I wanted to go up to him and be like, "Autobots assemble! I'm Optimus Prime," and just be like, "See, I can do it better." But getting into the DeLorean was fun. That was something me and Sean definitely geeked out over, and both of us have a printout picture of it.
Well, I mean, you also mentioned Transformers. Transformer fan?
When I was younger, yeah, not so much anymore, but I do like them. I'd say out of all the Michael Bay Transformer movies, the only one that I really saw, well, the only two that I saw was I saw the first one and then just this last one where they did Beast Wars.
I haven't seen Beast Wars, but the first one, I'm glad you quit while you were ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm old.
Alright. Can you tell us about that time you were Bane?
Oh, I was Bane. So we did a free comic book day at Song Around. And Sean was Batman. And they had me break through a wall that was like, it was just a bunch of boxes stacked up, but getting the cue from the Joker to charge through a boxed wall was really fun. And then me and Sean did the backbreaking scene from Dark Knight. And I hoisted him up and gave him a backbreaker. And watching everybody's reaction when we actually did the backbreaker, they were like, "Oh my God!" That was fun. Yeah, those cosplay battles are something I hold near and dear, and I always will. They're just so much fun. This last one at Twin Tiers in November, I was Sweet Tooth.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And that whole day, because I danced around like Samoa Joe does on the show.
Yeah.
I danced around for my whole match. The whole day, people are like, "That's gotta be your new gimmick." Oh my God, you need to change that to your gimmick.
I just love the crossover that Sweet Tooth, and now he's known in the pro wrestling world because of Samoa Joe.
Right. And anyway, Sweet Tooth looks like a pro wrestler, anyways.
I mean, yeah, he does. Who knew that was a perfect match made in heaven? Samoa Joe,
Right.
Sweet Tooth.
And then to have Will Arnett's voice over it is perfect. It's perfect.
That whole show was just chef's kiss, honestly.
Yeah, it was very good. It was very good. I would like to see a newer Twisted Metal come out, or maybe take Twisted Metal 2 and remake it like they did the Resident Evils for a modern system.
It's definitely one of those games where maybe not as appreciated as the other games that have came out for PlayStation, but it's definitely still a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Can you tell us the significance of the cross tattoo on your arm?
Yeah. My grandfather passed away in 2007. So it's got his birthday and death date on it. And then there's 6 roses for his grandkids. Me, Joe, Connor, Gracie, Jack, and Pat. Me and Pat are the same age. Joe and Connor are twins. And Gracie and Jack are sisters. They were born when me and Pat were... she's 12, I'm 32. Probably about 12 or 13. And then there's a Roman numeral 3 in the middle. And my grandfather, whenever he babysat me or dropped me off, would always hold up the number 3, and it meant eyes open, ears open, mouth shut.
Ooh. It's very intricate. How long did it take you to get?
This tattoo?
Yeah.
It was done twice. I forgot the guy's name, Aaron something. He did it in Montrose. He started it, and then a friend of mine who does all my ink now touched it up. Neil Hendrickson for Skinworks Custom Body Art. He touched it up and gave it more life. But I don't know. Probably the first session was probably an hour, and Neil touching it up a year or so later was another hour and a half.
Is there any significant meaning to your other tattoos?
Yeah, I mean, I've got some goofy ones, but they're there for a reason. The steel chair on my wrist is pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
The North rune for the God of War tier. My last name's Talbot. It's a T. I friggin' love Kratos. And I like the tier story too. If you ever look that up, that's an interesting read. Just about how he loses his hand to the wolf and stuff like that. And then I have Beetlejuice on my calf, which I actually have matching with my dad. My dad got Beetlejuice on his forearm. That just kind of symbolizes mine and his love for movies, and me and him have always bonded over movies and characters and just goofy shit like that. And then next to him, I got Uncle Fester, the Christopher Lloyd one from the 90s. That's the one that I grew up on.
Oh, yeah.
I told you about the significance of the Addams Family to me earlier. On the back of my calf, I have Homer Simpson as the Motorhead logo. So it's Homer, but he's got the Orgasmatron tusks coming out, and then there's two jewels hanging from that. One of the jewels is a nuclear symbol, and the other one is Bart's skull. I have a Metallica plus head on my left forearm. I've got Leatherface behind that. Back to my right arm, above the chair and the tier symbol, I've got a Celtic knot with two battle axes. No real significant meaning. The person that did it, I kind of wish I had another person do it, but you live and learn. The skull crab on my arm, I actually got for free. When I met Neil, I was like 17 or 18, and he was in a band. And he's like, hey, if you roadie my shit all weekend, I'll hook you up with some ink, nothing big. So I did that, and I was like, give me the skull crab, sure. So that's how I got that. And then my first one was the little tribal that's up on my right shoulder. And then I've got the Grim Reaper with the devil dogs on my chest. Oh, and I forgot about on my inner left calf, I have one that a friend of mine that lived with me through high school did it in my bedroom when I was 15 or 16. It's just a little kanji symbol for power. I hope it means power. Knowing my luck, it can be like cheeseburger, pizza, taxi cab, light bulb. Who knows? But it was tattooed with the intention of it meaning power. So.
Hell yeah. Is there any ideas for future tattoos in the future?
Hundreds. Lots of them. I'm a very big fan of the band Death. I would love to get a piece of either from their album Leprosy or Human. I'm a big Evil Dead fan. I absolutely want to get Ashley Williams, Bruce Campbell tattooed on me somewhere. I've got tons. I've got lots of ideas. My other grandfather passed away in 2020. I still haven't done anything for him really because I keep changing my mind. I'll think of something cool, and then I'll be like, no, wait, how about this? So I've got to do something for him. I've got a lot lined up. I've got a lot of different ideas.
All right. Now, your bio on Instagram says you are a simple man of things. Pro wrestling, beer, and death metal. We've talked a lot about pro wrestling, but what is the best beer and death metal combat?
That's a hard question. To make it easy, I'd say a shot of Jack Fire, a can of Bud Light, and Lack of Comprehension playing by Death on the jukebox.
Okay, we got that. That being said, let's say that they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
I'll keep it simple. Raining Blood by Slayer. Bring the Noise by Anthrax with Flava Flav. And let's say Iron Fist, Motorhead.
Hell yeah. Alright. Now that we got the soundtrack down, it's time to go to casting.
Casting.
Who plays Axel? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Well, I love Tom Hardy, but I don't know, maybe him or Carl Urban.
Okay. Well, I mean, Tom Hardy would be great because, you know, he was Bane, you were Bane.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Just to get a pop out of Marie, I'd say Nicki Minaj will play Marie. Just to get a rise out of her.
Okay.
And just because he likes calling himself America's ass, I'll have Chris Evans play Sean.
Okay.
You stumped this one. Yeah, that's about all I got.
Fair enough. I mean, it sounds like a great movie, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Right.
On to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Oh, I actually had a slice of Hawaiian the other day.
And there's my answer. So
I get picked on frequently because one of my favorite toppings for pizza is anchovies.
Ooh, haven't had anybody that likes anchovies yet.
Love it.
Could I ask, like, what is appealing about anchovies?
I mean, they're super buttery, super salty. It just tastes good with the pizza.
Okay. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Charmeleon.
Oh yeah. We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
Oh shit. Rob's gonna kill me for not immediately knowing this. I will say this: when I wrestled him, he clotheslined the shit out of me.
Hell yeah! Could you?
He did a punch combo to me and Luke Babcock, and when I turned around, he fucking walloped my ass. But he was super fun to work with, especially doing the dance off.
That's incredible. We haven't had a lot of people that, you know, has actually been in the ring with Tracy.
Yeah, it was me, LDC, and Luke Babcock versus Aaron Lineberry, Rob, and Tracy Smothers.
Oh yeah. Alright. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a Doug can't spell. Yes.
Yeah, Rob's gonna listen to this and give me shit for not knowing that offhand. for sure.
Well, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, and we're trying to keep the memory alive.
Absolutely. I'm still flabbergasted that he wrestled a bear.
Oh yeah, that's a legend, pro wrestling legend lore at this point.
Right. Me and Rob always joke that, you know how there's the old website, 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes.
Well, me and Rob are like, well, we're 5 degrees of that bear. Because we're 1 degree away from it. Just in that 1 degree being Tracy.
Oh yeah.
So we always joke that we were 1 degree away from wrestling a bear.
Now, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Yeah, but I absolutely love Jim Cornette, and I would be the topic of his hate the next day. So, win some, lose some, I guess.
Fair enough. Just for context, there is this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled in actual Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. And he did not win that match either.
That's crazy.
And he didn't get heat with Jim Cornette for that match, but he did get heat for the match that he wrestled for the dog. So,
Wait, he was the dog dropkick guy?
yes, he was the dropkick dog guy.
That wasn't even that long ago. That was only a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was. But it's surprising how that went viral, but not the one with the Rock.
Right. I mean, that dog threw a hell of a working dropkick, so that's why it went viral.
I mean, look on the bright side. He's one step away from wrestling actual humans now.
Right. The dog has a better dropkick than I do.
Well, it's a very athletic dog. I think it was a sheepdog.
Right. Well, like Bruce Pritchard says on his podcast, so yeah, we got it from Dogs R Us. He was a working dog.
I love you for that. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
At least with 1 or 2 extra spots from one of the bigger companies. That would be nice. In a lot better shape. Excite in a better position. And yeah, just at least having one of the bigger companies under my belt for at least one match or an extra position or just something.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
The one of them, well, the big one being the one with Slick that you mentioned earlier. And then probably the Twitch stream was down, but the one from a couple weeks ago with Cade was very well. And the last one at the X from the Oakdale Mall with Cade was tremendous as well. Any match I've done with Sean is a good one to watch because you can't have a bad match with him. It's impossible. But yeah, I'd say my biggest one would probably be the Impact one with Slick.
Can we find that match on YouTube?
No, that you've got to go through. How the hell did I find it? That you've got to find wherever Impact has those indie pay-per-view listings. So I don't know if they're floating around online on Daily Motion or what, but whenever TNA went around and did that tour with other independent companies like they did with Excite for Night of the Dummies, that's where you'd find it. It's honestly kind of difficult to find.
think it's
But if you can, that would be a good one to watch.
It's probably going to be on Impact Plus. You said that the second one was on Twitch, and is the third one on YouTube?
Should be. Yeah. I've had a lot of my matches come and go off of YouTube just from pages that don't exist anymore that had them uploaded, or a company would change their name and then the footage would get lost. But there should be a couple with me and Sean on Facebook for sure.
Alright, I will find a match or two, and I will drop the links into the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen them, wants to see them, wants to re-see them after this interview.
There's a really funny one with me and Len Oddity from Immortal. Me and him do a circus hardcore match that's mostly comedy. It's not super serious, but it's a good, entertaining match to watch.
Oh yeah.
The bastard cheats in it though, and he punches me in the nuts to win. Son of a bitch.
Maybe not put that one in the description.
But it's good to watch though.
I will look for that match as well. And since we are nearing the conclusion of the interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
All right.
This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Sure.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Tie between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Worst wrestler.
Tie between Kali and Ahmed Johnson.
I think Oddman might have an edge over Kali.
Yeah.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Just to be cute and wholesome, Sean.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Steve Austin's, 100%.
The original?
His current rendition, so the one that he started using probably in the late 90s.
Okay.
Actually, that or the one off of WWF Album 2, before the glass break, when he has the monologue saying, "You are completely pathetic." So maybe that one.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
I wouldn't say it's totally dead, but it's more or less dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Tastes great on toast.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
A Goldberg match.
I will accept that answer. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I guess to keep this appropriate for everybody, whatever floats your boat. As long as we ain't seeing nutsack or chocolate starfish, as Limp Bizkit would say, I think we're good.
All right. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Nope. But I've had plenty of conversations with strangers in supermarkets over wrestling and or metal.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thanks for having me. This was fun as hell, man. You guys are good at this.
I appreciate that. We like to keep it interesting.
Your questions are phenomenal.
And once again, where can we find all things Axel on social media?
Facebook with my real name, Vince Talbot, is the best way to follow me.
Right,
and then I pledge to everyone right now, I will be better with Instagram.
Hell yeah. Let's post more than every 6 months.
Yeah. It should be better than that by now. But yes, more than every 6 months.
Where can we find merchandise?
At the shows. I never really set up a pro wrestling tees. I just never really felt like it. But any show that I'm at, I have shirts and merch with me.
Okay.
And you can, if someone wants one that doesn't attend shows, you can always drop in my inbox and we'll work something out.
Okay. And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. DM him and buy a damn shirt.
Buy a goddamn shirt.
Oh yeah. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. We're on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Pale Coffee. Join us tomorrow as we interview Moondog Greg Maury and follow. Join us every Tuesday and Wednesdays for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Instagram, and Thread. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, Axel, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Sounds good.
For our special guests, Axel Lennox, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.